Hello everyone and welcome to another historic weather video from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go, it's another Bank Holiday Monday. Hello to all of you and thank you for tuning in on your early May Bank Holiday Monday. And yeah, we are doing a continuation of our Back to 60's historic weather series. So we started this on Easter Monday looking at 1964 to 1965. We ran it all the way up to the summer of 1965. We're going to continue now going through the remainder of 1965 and into 1966. So we're going to be covering autumn 65 and particularly winter 65-66. So I shall get on with that for you very shortly. Just to say that the first video today is our 6 AM UK weather forecast, so please check that out if you'd like to do that. And thank you so much to Trevor Harley and also to GWV. They are the two resources that make these historic videos work. So I'm the smallest cog in the wheel with this, as I always say. The way that the historic videos work is with the archive of historic charts from GWV combined with the information from Trevor Harley, put them together, and that's how the historic vids work. So thank you so much to Trevor Harley and also to GWV. The link is in the description with this video. Thank you so much to Richard for our lovely gift here, GavsWeatherVids historic video series. Thank you so much, Rich, for that. I love it. Thank you so much, my friend. And thank you so much to all of you for tuning in on this Bank Holiday Monday as well. I'm always blown away, as I say, that people want to spend this time with me and with GavsWeatherVids on their Bank Holiday. So time is precious, you know, for all of us. And I just thank you so much for tuning in and the support that you give to me and to the channel. Thank you so much, everyone. Right, well, let's begin then. We're going to start with September of 1965. So this is quite a cold September, actually. Has a CET of 12.3. So hardly says it's very cold, dull, and very wet as well. So the weather conditions at the start of the month, high pressure in Scandinavia, low in France, led to an extraordinary fall of migrant birds on East Anglian coast on the afternoon the 3rd of September. No, sorry, everybody. So this is how we start off with September 1965. A ridge of high pressure is out to the north and west, and we're pulling in the wind from a northeasterly direction as we go through. Well, look what happens with this low. Because Grace got a low over Germany that starts pushing in even from the continent. So that would have brought, no doubt, copious amounts of rain to the east, and also that fall of migrant birds from the East Anglian coast, or on the East Anglian coast there, with that area of low pressure. But I imagine there would be a lot of heavy rain in with that as well. That's the 4th of September, looking cool and wet under a significant area of low pressure. We don't get Septembers like these very often these days, do we? They're normally a continuation of summer, especially in the first week. This is quite unusual, to say the least. 6th of September, another trough of low pressure coming in off Atlantic. That will be bringing further bouts of rain in with it. And 8th of September, well, yeah, the low pressure keeps on coming. Oh, this is a proper old cool, wet September, isn't it? With deep low to the northeast of Scotland, a strong northwesterly wind, cool and wet as we go through into the second week of September. Another little trough pushing through here on the 12th, and we try to raise the heights a little bit in the wake of that, but you'll notice more low pressure waiting in winds in the Atlantic. This is a little bit dry around the middle of the month, actually. Slight little transient ridge here and south, but I don't think it's going to last. The next low is pushing in, particularly from the north and west, plenty of rain in with that. Maybe a few days of slightly drier weather in the south. But goodness gracious me, look at this, by the 17th, we've got a proper dartboard going, proper dartboard low there, pushing in from the Atlantic, bringing heavy rain and no doubt gale force winds as well. That gets out of the way, and then we get our first real sort of sustained build of pressure from the Azores high there by the 19th of September. Upper air temperatures looking relatively cool, or probably close to average, so that's not bringing any particular warmth with it, but would be settling things down in the south and drying things out after the wet conditions previously. 21st of September, that was quite nice in the south. We are putting in 10 Celsius iceberg there, so probably getting the temperature into the upper teens or low 20 Celsius. But again, the high pressure of that ridge is breaking down quite quickly, so by the 23rd of September, back comes the low pressure, and we're back into the wet conditions once again. As we move into the last week of September, low pressure remaining well and truly in control, no change. So we head up towards month's end with deep low pressure around the UK and much of Western Europe as well. A cool and wet end to September 1965. Been a long while since I've had a September like that. When people last time, maybe 2017, I don't know, but we don't get cool, wet Septembers like that very often. Now, in contrast, October of 1965 was actually a relatively mild month. So, some late warmth, Trevor Hardy writes. The warmest day of the year in Snowdon, in the Snowdon area, was on the 5th, 22 degrees at Cape Wrath on the 22nd. And it reached 25 degrees a couple of times over a wide area in the first week, the warmest day of the year since May. How strange. Yet the warmest days of the year in May and October. It was hottest day of the year at Spadadum, Cumbria, on the 5th. The latest date this has happened in the whole country. So, we begin, though, still under low pressure on the first day of October, and more low pressure in the Atlantic there on the 2nd. So, where's the warm coming from? Here we go. On the 3rd, then, we've got the low pressure stalling and sinking down towards Biscay as the ridge builds to the east. So that starts to draw up this southerly southeasterly flow. So, here we go. Here comes the warmth then. We've got warmth. We've got those winds in from the south with low pressure down towards Biscay, cut off low, combined with higher pressure to the northeast. That draws up a southerly southeasterly. And look at the upper air temperature, plus 10 Celsius isotherm is moving northwards across the country. We're bathed in warm conditions. That's the 5th. This is the day that we get the temperature of the hottest day of the year at Spadadum. It doesn't write what that is. I wonder if it was 25 degrees. Perhaps it was 77 in Fahrenheit. Right, the 6th, well, we're still looking pretty warm, but pressure's weakening a little bit as we start to get a bit of an upper level trough going across the country. So, are we under a trough or a ridge there on the 7th? Sometimes it can be difficult to work out, but by the 8th, we're well and truly back to high pressure again. So, lots of dry, fine, and pretty warm conditions back. Could be overnight fog, of course. It is October. It's a long time ago, so I imagine, the air could have fogged up quite quickly back in this era. So, relatively pleasant, sunny and warm days, but perhaps cool, foggy nights could have been achieved during this second week of September. That's a 10th, high pressure again, dominating the weather. It's almost like a classic sort of dry, warm October, doesn't it? Now, heading up towards the middle of the month, high pressure begins to weaken a little bit, low pressure coming in, North Atlantic, that's returning us more unsettled conditions, but only very briefly, and then the high pressure building back in again. That's the 17th of October. 12 years before Gav's birthday. And high pressure again is in control, bringing lots of dry and warm weather. This is a classic anti-cyclonic October after that very wet September. So this is classical. If this was now, like doing GavsWeatherVids, I would be getting rather excited about the prospects for the winter ahead, I have to say, after cool, wet after cool and wet September, we've got a classic anti-cyclonic, warm, dry October here. Back to 21st, we're back into those southerly winds once again. That's the 22nd, so this is the day we reached 22.2 on the 22nd, so 2, all the twos. And look at the upper air temperatures, and they do look pretty warm yet again. Wow. Now we move on towards the final week of the month, and the high pressure is gradually slipping more towards the central and eastern part of Europe, with low pressure building or deepening in the North Atlantic there. So we're gradually breaking down the high pressure through the last week of October and starting to revert to a more typical sort of autumn and October pattern, which of course is mild, wet and windy, bringing in the strong westerly winds, deepening areas of low pressure, a bit of an autumn gale there, first one of those that we've seen so far in this video. So autumn gales for northern Scotland on the 30th of October, another deep low whipping itself up here for Halloween, 31st of October, and that takes us very nicely through to November, which is quite a coldish month with a CT of 4.5, so that's pretty cold for November, and is apparently one of the snowiest Novembers on record, with some notable cold spells. But the first thing to get on the table is what happens on the first day of the month. Strong winds cause a collapse of 5 out of 8 cooling towers at Ferry Bridge Power Station in Doncaster on the 1st, when gusts of 85 miles per hour interacted with the design of the power station. So there we go, that low there, it doesn't say whether there's any injuries, hopefully there wasn't, but that low there caused quite a few problems. So you have a very wet, windy, stormy start to November 1965, in complete contrast to all of the benign sort of quiet days during the October that's just preceded it. Already got wind in from the north here on the 2nd, so a little bit of a cold snap starting to take place, -5 Celsius iceberg starting to head southwards there. We go on into the 3rd, we've got a ridge out to the west, pulling in the wind from the north. It's like the first sort of cold snap, I think, although we did have a cool September. It's the first genuine sort of cold snap of the season. -5 Celsius icebergs through the country, wintry showers in the north and the east, and no doubt there would have been some overnight frost with that as well. 4th to the 5th of November, high pressure builds back in, turning things drier and quieter once again. So I would think there would have been overnight frost, and that area of high pressure, cold air, has been re-established, and probably some freezing fog as well. Now, to the 6th to the 7th, the high pressure slips away to the east. Low pressure comes in from off the Atlantic. That looks relatively mild with southerly southwesterly winds. So we can probably confirm that with the upper air temperatures. Yeah, so pretty mild as we go from the first week into the second week of November, but still with outbreaks of rain. Now, look what's happening by the 10th. We're starting to see a Scandinavian high getting going. So this is where the cold weather is going to come from. Trevor Hardy says the cold air moved in on the 13th. And there was some heavy snowfalls laying for 10 days at Lincolnshire. Let's see what's going to happen. I imagine it's going to come from the east. Well, there we go on the 11th. We've got high pressure once established over Scandinavia. Classic, beautiful Scandinavian high. Winds coming in from a direct easterly source. If you follow the isobars back, we are going all the way back to Russia with those isobars. Upper air temperatures at the moment for us are particularly cold. They're cool, not cold, but notice this big cold pool with the upper air temperatures sitting away to our east and our northeast. Here we go then. 12th, we bring those easterly winds and the coldness of the air a little bit closer to us. The -5 Celsius iceberg begins to appear on the east coast. Got the -10 Celsius iceberg over the other side of the North Sea. That's an impressive cold pool for November that we have there in the east. So this is the 13th. This is the day that it all begins to happen. Yeah, so it is from a Scandinavian high, also a bit of ridging retrogression maybe towards Greenland, Iceland, and winds again coming in from a proper easterly source. Look at that cold air sitting in the North Sea, no doubt snow showers coming across the North Sea with those easterly winds. Well and truly blocked and cold there on the 14th of November 1965. It was all so easy in the 60s, wasn't it, to get these cold scenarios. It wasn't abnormally, even for then, you know, it was an abnormally cold decade, though, the 1960s. So compared to the decades before, it was an abnormally cold decade, both for summers and for winters all year round, really. But it always looks so easy, doesn't it, on many charts. We know now there'll be a short wave somewhere in the Norwegian Sea or something that would scupper the whole thing. But back then, no, we got into those easy wins so much more easily. Anyway, let's see what Trevor Hardy's saying. So we're up to the 14th of November. So Trevor Hardy says there was heavy snow on Dartmoor on the 14th, and minus 14 degrees was recorded at Braemar early on the 15th, with freezing fog on the 15th at Ross on Wye, where there was a maximum of only -2. So very cold during the middle part of the month. And we've got this deepening and developing area of low pressure here on the 15th out to the southwest. What's going to happen with that? That starts trying to move in from the southwest. Upper air temperatures starting to lift up in the south, but looking very cold still up in the north. There will be a weather front that is marking the boundary, bringing no doubt rain to far southwest, but also the risk of heavy snow with this. And Trevor Hardy says it was windy on the 16th with an intense depression, or as an intense depression approached. Blizzards in Wales and the north. I mentioned less cold for a while, but more cold weather returned from the 21st. So this is marking a change to something a little bit milder or less cold, away from Scotland anyway, where the cold air does hang on in the northeast. But that would have been a snow event, I think, across many parts of the country. Rain to snow event as the milder upper air temperatures tuck in, then the snow turns back to rain. That's probably like the first real snow event of the season. So we go up to the 18th and on to the 19th, where you can see what's happening here. Very, very blunt. The high pressure Scandinavia has retrogressed. Retrogress. We love retrogression at GavsWeatherVids. The high pressure is retrogress from Scandinavia to Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure is underneath it. So we're bringing him in from an east northeasterly source. There's still some very cold air sitting to our north and northeast. So basically battle lines drawn. Battle lines well and truly drawn here by the 19th of November. That's a very impressive cold pool, isn't it? Really extreme cold pool there across Scandinavia, northeastern Europe for November. January, but okay, fair enough. But for November, that's a very, very impressive cold pool. But anyway, battle lines are drawn, and it sounds like the cold air is going to come back southwards again. So 20th of November, the low pressure going back in towards France. And yeah, the cold air begin to dig back in once again. So we could well be seeing further heavy rain in the south with this low, maybe some snow on the northern edge on the boundary. Now, the 21st of November, we start to unleash those cold northeasters again. Check out the upper air temperatures, bitterly cold air coming southeastwards across the country. And again, that would be unleashing snow showers once more. So, Trevor Hardy says, less cold weather, but more cold air return on the 21st. There was snow in the east on the 22nd with a hard frost. And there was snow in the borders on the 25th with 7-foot deep snow drifts of the Lake District. Goodness gracious me. Blimey. So, yeah, it's cold and wintry here, and this is below here, that produces the snow in the east on the 22nd of November 1965. That whips itself up into a very significant area of low off the east coast of Scotland on the 23rd, so that accounts for, the 7-foot drifts and whatnot. And then another low punching through here. Look at this, another low punches through from the 24th to the 25th. So, again, this will bring a lot of heavy, so lots of cold air across the country, and as that low pushes through, well, rain in the south, but Wales, the Midlands, Northern England, Northern Ireland, anywhere, from like the Midlands northwards will get heavy snow with that area of low pressure pushing through there from the 21st through to the from the 24th through to the 25th, I should say, again, see the battle lines won't be drawn with the upper air temperatures. Another low punching through there from the 26th to 27th. That will be bringing yet more rain and or snow with the upper air temperatures looking cold with both strong northwest winds. What a wintry November this is. Goodness gracious me, I hadn't realised it was quite this wintry. And then we've got this next low. Look at this, another southerly tracking low sweeping across the country there, 28 to the 29th. Trevor Harling says that the worst of the weather came on the 29th with severe gales and heavy snow. Don't see that particular troublemaker with a pressure of only 962 millibars at Humberside, and snow apparently in this month lay across eastern Scotland from the 13th to the end of the month, and it was nearly 2 feet deep in Durham. Goodness gracious me, what a November that one is. You would think the city might be even colder than 4.5, but it did have a few milder days in the second week. That's how we end November 1965 anyway, with winds in from the north. I bet a lot of people were thinking, remember, this is only a couple of years after the daddy of cold winds of 62, 63, coldest winds since 1740. I bet a lot of people back then would have been thinking, you know, here we go again. We've got another, got another really severe winter on the way. I wonder if that's what people were thinking. Well, talking of winter, that takes us very nicely into the winter, and so we begin winter 65-66 on the first day of December, looking like this, with an area of low pressure waiting in the wings. And as Charlie writes, all we've got with this one is slightly colder than average overall. The centering temperature of 4.7. So actually December, although slightly colder than average, 1965, was slightly milder than the November before it, which is a relatively unusual occurrence. So let's have a look then. Low pressure pushes through across the country here from the 1st to the 2nd of October, bringing plenty of wet and windy weather in with it. Upper air temperatures are looking still quite chilly, but a lot milder than they were a few days previously. So I would imagine the thaw of the lying snow is starting to take place. Now, on into the 4th to the 5th of December. Well, we're looking unsettled, quite wet, windy, pretty stormy as well. A bit of a cold snap here on the 6th, winds turning into the north, but then back into the west again. That's classic. So top of the cold snap. Relatively mild on the 8th of December, but also wet and windy with visual low pressure, bringing gale force winds and heavy rain from the 8th to the 9th. Winds going back into the northwest, pretty cold snap there on the 10th, and then back to westerlies once more from the 11th to the 12th. So very oscillating, very unsettled first half of December 1965, with plenty of wet, windy weather. Generally, I would think on the mild side, though. Right, well, we're going towards the middle part of the month. Notice heights are beginning to try and build again to the east and to the northeast, with low pressure in the Atlantic. At the moment, we're still relatively mild and wet, with weather systems, wet fronts across the country. Is that high pressure over Scandinavia going to get us back to colder conditions as we're towards Christmas? That's the 16th. Well, again, we're drawing up the wind from the west-southwesterly direction, looking generally mild and wet. No sign of that high pressure or the ridge to the northeast doing anything up to this point. Very mild by the 17th, but let's push us southwesterly. Wow, wow, wow. Upper air temperatures are looking very, very mild there, with the air coming up from the Azores. So it's not only the modern era that we get long fetch southwesterly bring the air up from the Azores. I imagine that would have got temperatures widely into double digits, especially for England and Wales, but probably with a lot of heavy rain mixing as well. That's the 18th. Again, very mild in the south, a little bit cooler further north. There would be a weather front bringing lots of heavy rain marking the boundary. I think we're going to get some cold weather somewhere here because, you know, it's a 4.7 CET. I would imagine a bit by this point, though, CET would be above 5 degrees. No, there's going to be some cold weather somewhere. Let's see if it happens. We get to the 20th. Things begin to go a bit cooler. Now, notice that Scandinavian high, by the way, is gone. Scandinavia is sitting under a trough of low pressure now. No, what's happening with the upper air temperature? Well, they're turning a bit cooler as we go to the 20th of December, but not cold. Not yet. No, 21st, 22nd of December 65, the low pressures keep on coming. No, more wet weather, relatively mild conditions as well. That's the 23rd. Low pressure is deepening in the Atlantic, just starting to shift a little bit further southwards. So we are starting to go on to the cooler side of the jet. Oh, now here we go. This is Christmas Eve with quite a deep area of low pressure in across England and Wales. Notice projection going ever further south. There's not much of a blocking area of high pressure forcing back jet stream southwards, but really quite a lot of cold air, I think, sitting to the north. So you have got some pretty cold air there in the Norwegian Sea towards Iceland. But I say not a lot of blocking to send that jet stream southwards. But we are on the cold side of the jet. This area of low pressure would have brought really quite a wet, unsettled Christmas Eve. And as that gets out of the way into Christmas Day, we open the wind into a northerly again. So Christmas Day 1965 starts to bring colder air southwards, shower turning to snow, probably across Scotland. And, maybe there could have been a little bit of back edge snow further south as well, that area of low pressure. I think there were a few snowfalls further south as well during Christmas of 1965. So we get to Boxing Day, 26th of December, and we're looking ever colder now. We've got the minus fives outside Iceland back in across the country of low pressure starting to attack from the southwest. Or trying to, actually, that gets held at bay across France and Biscay. And we keep wind in from the north. So this is how we lower the CT and get that slightly cooler than average front, despite all of the earlier milder conditions. We do get a few days of colder weather in the final week over Christmas week. As I say, that brings wind in from the north with cold air. No doubt bringing some sharp overnight frost and wintry showers. We come towards the end of December. 65, we go back into those wet and windy conditions again, and that takes us through to the 31st of December 1965, where we're looking really quite wet and windy. Okay, let's move into January then of 1966, and this is a cold January. Has a central temperature of 2.9. Joe Hardy says cold, dry and dull. It was -19 on the morning of the 19th at Elmstone in Kent with a maximum that day of only -4. So let's see how that happens. We're starting 1966 on a generally quite a mild, wet and windy note for New Year's Day, with low pressure in the Atlantic. So I assume we're either going to get a northerly or another easterly. Let's see what happens. So we move on. We move on through the first week, and we get rid of that low pressure, brings us a stormy start to the year of 66. High pressure beginning to ridge up from the southwest. By the way, 1966 is interesting because it is an exceptionally wet year, as you will see as we go along through the rest of this video, and also through episode 3 that will be coming up on Bank Holiday Monday at the end of the month, the late May, or spring, I suppose it's called, Bank Holiday Monday. 66 is one of the wettest years of the 20th century, I think, and so you will see, some pretty low pressure dominated charts. But talking of that, we're actually seeing a ridge of high pressure building up from south here on the 4th of January, 1966. Low pressure's out in the Atlantic, so we're pretty mild as we go through the first week of 66 with high pressure to east, low pressure to west. Notice that high pressure is ridging up towards the Siberian high. So this high up here over northwestern Russia, that is the Siberian high making an appearance. Maybe that's the one that's going to turn us cold as we go through the month. That's the 7th of January. No, we're generally mild. If you look at the upper air temperatures, they are going to be mild, even very mild. I'm not sure on the surface it necessarily would be that mild. Away from Western Scotland and Ireland, probably very mild there, but for like Central Eastern England, probably a bit of an inversion would be starting to take place with the air coming in off the continental inversions where it's cold on the surface and milder aloft. So that takes us through to the 8th. Again, we've got the Siberian high, not necessarily a Scandinavian high. It probably will become a Scandinavian high, but the Siberian high is making an appearance here and gradually begins to pull wind round to more of a southeasterly. Upper air temperature show we've got a cold pool sitting across eastern parts of Europe, although not that impressive. Still generally mild up the western side of Europe with those upper air temperatures. That gets us through to the 9th of January. Low pressure is approaching that blocking feature. So by the 10th, well, we're looking increasingly blocked now. Low pressure is stalling out in the Atlantic, not making much progress in. High pressure taking over to the northeast. Upper air temperatures show that cold air is beginning to dig back in across the eastern side of the country, and so battle lines are drawn again a little bit with this. Trevor Harley writes that on the 19th, we'll get to that in a moment, but on the 19th, the maximum temperature was only -4 degrees at Elmstone. I've done that one, and the sea froze over apparently this month at Padwell Bay. Much snow in the east from the 14th to the 22nd. And there's going to be an ice storm affecting the south as well. So it's all happening. All happening. January 66. But we go through. So sorry again, everybody. Go through to the 11th. And that high pressure from Siberia has now become a fully fledged Scandinavian high. It's sort of reached in from Siberia into Scandinavia. The high is actually broken off from the Siberian high and become a fully fledged Scandinavian high. So we're back into those easterlies. November, maybe a teaser for this winter. We're back into those easterlies. And look at that bitterly cold air coming in from off the continent again. No doubt lots of heavy snow showers being drawn in from the east with those easterly winds as well. Now, I mean, if you want a Scandinavian high, you want a classic Scandine, doesn't get much better than that example. 1045 millibar of high pressure over Scandinavia. It does extend back. It is an extension of the Siberian high. Winds in from a long fetch easterly direction and a deep cold pool sitting over many parts of Europe as well. So bitterly cold air coming in with these easterly winds, bringing lots of heavy snow in with them as well. That's the 13th. Again, beautiful Scandinavian high. Gorgeous Scandinavian high. We do get very excited about Scandis, don't we? Because we don't get them very often, especially in the modern era. But as I say, it always looks so easy. Always looks so easy, doesn't it? With these with these historic charts. No, that's the 13th. Again, a really deep cold pool sitting to our east, bitterly cold air there. And those east-northeast winds continue from a very, very block setup, high pressure, all the way from Greenland right away to Russia. Well, I said Siberia and this extension of the Siberian high. Again, long fetch east winds dragging in those east winds. Look at the upper air temperature there on the 14th of January. Beach from the east is unleashed. It wasn't called a beach from the east back then, but that is a classic beach from the east. You bring lots of heavy snow showers in from the got by 10 cells iceberg. Because once 15 cells iceberg is more or less sitting away to our east as well. So very, very cold and, sub-zero day and night. As Trevor Harley says, it was actually colder for the sea to start freezing over at Pegwell Bay. Right, so into the middle of January, very cold. Lots of intensity of the easterly maybe, but still sitting under very cold air with a trough of low pressure. Upper air temperature remain bitter, and again there will be lots of heavy snow showers down the east coast. Get through the 17th, 18th, still looking cold. Begin to lose the blocking a little bit, and low pressure is starting to develop out in the Atlantic. So we're approaching the 20th, and that's when we get an ice storm affecting the south with this area of low pressure. They're always quite interesting to look at synoptically. So, 18th of January, we're well and truly still looking very cold across most parts of the country. And there will be a lot of snow cover, of course, from those earlier easts. The 19th, got this low pressure coming in from the Atlantic, or trying to, coming up against that wedge of cold air. Although there's not much in the way of high pressure blocking, we have still got a wedge, a block of cold air sitting over the country and away to our north and east. Mild upper air temperatures out in the Atlantic, lots of heavy rain and weather fronts marking the boundary, no doubt. So we get through to the 20th of January, and yes, the low pressure is trying to come up from the south and from the southwest into that cold air. I would imagine it would have brought a lot of snow with it through Wales and Midlands, for example, on the boundary to the -5 and the 0 Celsius isotherm. In the far south, though, got these yellow colours. So that's how you get the ice events. If we go back maybe to, let's go back to midday. Again, see, got along the south coast, we've got the 0 Celsius isotherm. And that's how you get ice events. So if it's cold and frozen on the surface, and the dew point is at or below freezing on the surface, but the upper air temperature goes to 0 degrees or more, then it can't show. It will rain, but that rain, because the dew point is below freezing, will fall as freezing rain, will fall, to frozen surfaces and will produce a glaze. Freezing rain, sheet ice is one of the most beautiful things that you can see, beautiful weather phenomenons that you can see, but it's also absolutely deadly dangerous. I remember a big freezing rain event here where I am, North Hampshire, in 1996, in January 1996, 24th of January 1996, and everything was glazed over in ice, but it was absolutely treacherous, and lots of people fell and landed up in hospital with broken bones and whatnot. So it's not something that you want, really, freezing rain and sheet ice. Anyway, digressing, we're up to the 21st of January. Low pressure looks like it's starting to make more of an advance northwards from the Atlantic. So, actually it's not. So, we find that the low pressure gets deep southwards. I don't, by the way, a lot of people think that I know these charts, familiar with them before I do historic videos. I actually don't. I discover the charts with all of you. I do have my notes that I print off before I start, but in terms of the charts, I'm actually discovering it along you, and that's the way that I always like to do it. So there's that element of surprise that I have as well sometimes with some of these charts. Anyway, the low pressure is going south, but the upper air temperature is relatively mild in the south. Maybe more freezing rain going on here, but I'd imagine by this point, surface is probably getting a little bit milder. All going rather slack as we get into the final week of January. That's the 25th, another low coming in from the Atlantic. I think the upper air temperature is a lot milder now, so turning milder, wetter and windier into the last week of January 1966. So that explains why, despite that very impressive cold spell that happened around middle of the month, it actually wasn't that cold as CT, 2.9. I mean, 2.9 is pretty cold, especially in this era. We will think of that as a pretty cold January, a very cold January probably. But back then, 2.9, probably not that impressive for a cold month. The reason is that we end up on a very mild note, drawing up those winds from the southwest. Look at this, we've got the plus 10 Celsius iceberg just to the southwest here on the 28th to 29th. I wonder how mild it got. I bet temperatures got into the teens Celsius anyway. Show Harley doesn't specify. We end January 1966 with low pressure out to the west and ridge to our south and the east, and we're drawing up the winds from those southerly to southeast direction once again. I'll show you much more, everybody. That takes us through to February, which is a milder month. Has a central temperature of 5.7. There will be more cold weather for Scotland mid-month. But it was very mild towards the end of the month with sunshine and southerly wind. Overall, very mild month in CT series. So I would imagine this is going to be, as I say, Atlantic dominated, and yes it is. So we've got deep low pressure here around the 4th of February 66, drawing up those southwest winds, looking mild, wet and windy as we go through the first week of February 66, and the low pressures keep on coming. You'll notice by the 8th we're starting to draw wind back into the east again across Scotland, so cold air beginning to dig back in from the east, and very cold air sitting across much of northern Europe again, by the way. So we are really close to another freeze up, but I think the Atlantic is going to be too active to allow that to happen. Upper air temperatures again looking very cold though in the eastern part of Scotland here on the 9th of February, generally mild once again down in the south. south. Let's go to the middle part of the month then, and gradually that cold air is seeping in. Isn't it? A little bit surprised about this. I always thought of February 66 being very Atlantic dominated, but gradually the cold air is digging back in. Much of the northern half of the country actually is in cold air here on the 11th of February. 12 looks like we're building up the Scandinavian high again, with -5 outside sperm through the country once more. And that gets us to the 13th. More or less, all places are back into an easterly wind there. And again, the upper air temperatures show that cold air has made it all the way down into the far southern part of the country. Very, very surprised about this. 14th to the 15th, we start to try and bring low pressure in from the Atlantic, but high pressure is away to the north and the northeast. So a proper old battle going on here. Irresistible force meeting the immovable object. Upper air temperatures show that battle lines are drawn, so the north and northeast of the country within the cold air, the mild southerly wind brings mild air into the south and southwest of the country. This is the 15th of February. Trevor Harding says -20 degrees at Balmoral on the 15th, and -17 at Turnhouse, which was near Edinburgh, At the same time, places in southern England were frost-free. So wet and mild in the south, cold and wintry in the north. A classic north-south divide. Looks like the cold air is winning the battle there, really, doesn't it? We were very close in February 1966, having a pretty cold month of it, I think, and no doubt Scotland probably did. Look at that, that's the 17th again, battle lines well and truly drawn, mild and wet in the south and southwest, cold in the north. I imagine there will be quite a bit of snow anywhere on the boundary, which looks like it's particularly Scotland to northeastern England. Now, we're beginning to see the Atlantic winning the battle by the 18th to the 19th. Here comes low pressure off the Atlantic. This is what I always thought was February 66 was most notable for. And yeah, we're losing the cold air now. The cold air is retreating away from the north. Milder winds surging up from the south and from the southwest. So we're turning mild, wet, windy as we go through the closing week of February 1966, ending this very changeable, very topsy-turvy winter, but 65, 66 on an unsettled note. That's how it looks as we get to the end of February 66, between areas of low pressure, a little bit of a transient ridge, perhaps a bit of a cooler interlude, but overall quite mild. And then that takes us through to March, which Joe Harley says has a central temperature of at 6.5. A mild start, but there was a series of cold spells starting on the 11th with snow showers. And more snow fell in the final week. So we'll have a look at that and see how that happens. We begin March of 1966 where February left off. So if we begin Beach-Russell spring of 66 where Beach-Russell winter of 65, 66 left off on a generally mild and Atlantic driven note. Let's see where this cold snap's going to come from. Will it be from the north or will it be from the east again? Take your pick. So, mild through the first week of March, generally on the driest side as well. I think it's going to come from the north. There's no Scandi here on the 9th. And we have got high pressure pulling out into so I think the cold snap going to come from the north. Yes, it is. 10th to the 11th, high pressure pulls out into the Atlantic. Down comes those northwesterly winds. Upper air temperature becoming colder again, with showers turning wintry in the north. So a cold snap there around the 11th to the 12th of March with a northerly. Then high pressure's back in again though, being mostly dry. Probably quite chilly weather as cold air been established before it, but probably relatively dry, some overnight frost, and probably quite pleasant days. High pressure bringing a lot of dry weather through this middle phase of March 1966, and then the high pressure pulls back out into the Atlantic again as we go into the final one. We get a more definitive northerly. So this takes us from 23rd to 24th with a mid-Atlantic ridge and a trough low pressure in Scandinavia. That's a classic northerly blast. Upper air temperature being -10 Celsius firm back into Scotland. So a proper cold snap through the final week of the month. Low pressure again punching through, going down into the North Sea, up being snow to the north, probably rain in the south, and then back into those cold northerly winds again. We come towards month's end. Upper air temperatures are looking cold with those winds in from the north. That's how we end March of 1966. All beginning to go a little bit on the slack side. And then that will take us through to April. Has a central temperature of 7.2. So that's pretty cool for April, really. And Joe Harley says cold, dull, and wet. Very wet in southwest of England, where it's one of the wettest Aprils of the century. I told you 1966 was a wet year, didn't I? There was about 3 times the average rainfall. There was a notable snowfall in some places in the north on the 3rd, presumably from this area's low pressure coming into that already established cold air. The snow then moves across the Midlands through the 2nd to the 3rd. Again, we see that trough sinking south, some ridge building behind it, sending the cold air south. So snow in the north on the 1st, turning to with rain in the south, then rain turned to snow 2nd to the 3rd through more southern regions as the cold air comes southwards with this ridge from the north. Upper air temperatures again are looking cold. So let's see what happens after that. Low pressure coming in from the west from southwest, again sort of being blocked to the northeast, so that brings lots of heavy rain into southern and western parts of the country. Relatively mild upper air temperature, but a lot of rain on that battle lines drawn type pattern. We're going towards the second week of April. Again, we see high pressure blocking to the north, northeast, low pressure out in the Atlantic. This is very close to turning things really cold and wintry once again. Upper air temperatures looking mild, but just to our northeast have got cold upper air temperatures waiting in the wings. That gets us through to the 11th of April. 66, where winds are switching round a little bit more to the east again. And we go beyond that to the 12th, and we're back into those easterlies again. So very much a case that the easterlies are coming and going through this winter, isn't it? Maybe we're now well on into April, but it's kind of like a throwback to the winter pattern anyway, that we saw as early as November, to be honest. So again, we've got cold air sitting across Scandinavia, battle lines drawn north and northeast, within cold air relatively mild down in the south. Trevor Harley says there was a significant late snowfall in the south on the night of the 13th, 14th, and throughout the following day, which was also very cold in a northeasterly wind. Brighton had a couple of inches of snow, and snow cover was up to 15 centimetres deep on the high ground from Kent to Hampshire. In some places, it snowed continuously for 48 hours. That is impressive for April, isn't it? Let's see. We go through to the 13th. Oh, yeah, so what's more, everybody, you can see with below pressure to the southwest, coming up against those very cold northeast winds, so probably going to be a weather front, again, marking the boundary between the milder air in the Atlantic and that cold air to the north and to the east as well. So that's how the snow event happens there. The weather front would be along the elongation in the isobars through here, most likely. So that's bringing heavy snow, particularly to Wales and Midlands, southeastern parts of England, probably very wet rain, outbreaks of rain, persistent rain down in the southwestern part of the country, those milder upper air temperatures. So eventually the low pressure starts to push northwards, and we begin to see the cold air going into retreat. Upper air temperatures looking milder for England and Wales there by the 16th, as cold air begins to ease away to the northeast once again. And we go on into the closing days of the month, and Trevor Hardy says it was dull and cold until the 27th. The cold and snowy month had damaging effect on breeding birds. That's a shame, isn't it? So we come towards the closing days of April 66, and we turn milder, wetter and windier then, with low pressure breaking through from off the Atlantic. Signs of the Azores High starting to get back involved once again. Dan says it got milder on the 26th, cold till the 27th, but I actually think it looks like it's turning milder here around the 21st, 22nd, around there. So whether that's a bit of a typo from Trevor Hardy, it might be, but that looks like it's turning milder with the southwesterly winds for about the 21st of April. Anyway, we go into the final stage of April 1966 on a milder, wetter and windier note. Then high pressure at the very end of the month taking over. Look at this, after all that cold and wintry weather, it looks like I've got some warm, dry weather. So, how bizarre is that? What a strange month. We've got plus 10 Celsius. I would imagine there's a good chance that got the temperature to about 20 degrees with that area of high pressure at the end of April 1966. And that takes through to May, which is where we're going to end this second part of the Back to 60s series. If you've enjoyed this video, then please can you give us a like, share, subscribe, share it across your social media pages, whatnot. Tell people about what we're doing here at GavsWeatherVids. We're going to end this at May 1966, which has a central temperature of 11 degrees, very warm and sunny at the start, 27 Celsius, 81 Fahrenheit. Remember, just a couple of weeks ago, we had continuous snowfall for 48 hours. What a strange, what a strange time it must have been. 27 degrees here on the 2nd of May. The rest of the month will be changeable. Central temperature of 11 degrees, which is about average. So a very warm start with temperature reaching 81 Fahrenheit after 48 hours of snowfall 2 weeks earlier to May 1966. But by the 4th, we're into unsettled, cooler conditions with low pressure in off the Atlantic, and as is the case with 1966, the low pressures just keep on coming. So this looks like a very unsettled, changeable month with plenty of rain, particularly in the north. We haven't got a ridge building here into the middle part of May 66. I don't think that's going to last very long. And low pressure's back in again through the second half of the month. That looks particularly wet and windy, maybe even a little bit stormy around the 21st, 22nd of May 1966. Proper dartboard low. And the lows keep on coming till month's end, and then we get high pressure slipping back in across the country, bringing the month to a drier and warmer close as it started. That area of high pressure in the ascendancy, and that is where we are going to leave this, I think. So, been another epic 50 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed it, everybody. Some absolute classic charts, especially that January freeze-up, but also that impressively cold and wintry November as well. So, as I say, I hope you've enjoyed part 2, episode 2 of our Back to the 60s series. And if you have, please give us a like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for doing that. We are going to have the 3rd installment of our Back to the 60s series, as I say, at the end of the month, when we get to the late May bank holiday, or late spring bank holiday. I think that'll be the 27th of May, and that's going to cover the rest of 1966 and probably into 1967 as well. So that will be coming up for you on our spring bank holiday Monday at the end of the month. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and with GavsWeatherVids on your Bank Holiday Monday. Hope you enjoyed the historic video. If you have, again, please give us a like, all of that good stuff. Thanks so much. Thank you so much to Richard for our amazing historic weather video gift. And thank you so much to Trevor Harley and also to Weta for the charts and the data. We'll end it there. Things will be back to normal on the channel tomorrow with a 6 AM UK weather forecast, the extended EC forecast for Europe, and also the 10 to 14 day will be back tomorrow as well. You enjoy the rest of your early May bank holiday Monday, and for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.